Podcasts are kind of like beards. You don't have one, but if you did, everybody would like you just a little bit more. Whether that's for your ego or for your business, that's exactly what we're talking about today. But we're not talking about what makes beards great or what makes podcasts great. We're talking about the mistakes that podcasters make. After producing podcasts for 6 years, these are the 3 mistakes that beginner podcasters make, especially if they're either a business owner or they work within a business. So let's get to it. And by the end of this video, you're gonna make sure, you gotta promise me that you do not make any of these mistakes before launching or growing your podcast. The first mistake I see podcasters make is relying on social media. Founders and marketers do this all of the time. We have results that show that you can and should use social media to promote your podcast, but it should not be the only way you do it, especially if you're starting with no audience. If you do not post on social media every single day and already have a content strategy, then do not expect to get millions, not even thousands, not even hundreds of downloads on your podcast. Because growing an audience and starting a podcast are 2 different things. It's not a, if we build it, they will come. Sorry, but that doesn't work for podcasting. Now, you can use platforms like Spotify and Apple, or video platforms like YouTube and Google to allow people to access your podcast or find your podcast by using certain keywords and phrases. That is essential to any podcast that's used to generate more business or more revenue. So don't rely solely on social media. Also make sure you have your search engine optimization as well as your YouTube optimization in place so people can find you. Another mistake I see business owners make when it comes to their podcast is interviewing successful people. In your trials and tribulations and journey as a business owner, I bet you've met a lot of interesting people. You may have even met people who said, hey, you should start a podcast. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean anything. That just means that they like listening to you talk. That does not translate to being successful in podcasting. It can, but it's not a valid reason to start one. You need a much better reason than that. So if you're going into this thinking, wow, I have this incredible network of people, you probably do. And also, that podcast might be great, but don't expect to earn millions of dollars from a podcast where the guests are people that most people don't know. That's the mistake I see founders make. They think their network is going to determine the success of the podcast, when in reality, it's the strategy piece. So do not over-rely on your own personal network for the growth of your podcast. The third mistake that I see business owners who start a podcast make is they stop, they quit. They quit for a myriad of reasons, but the main reason is they didn't see the results they wanted to see. What are those results? Well, nobody knows because nobody ever discussed it or wrote it down before they started the podcast. So if I were to give you any advice, after thousands of episodes, after 6 years of podcasting, after 5 years of helping business owners launch podcasts, it would be, please do not quit. If you're 50 episodes in, 100 episodes in, and you're not seeing the results you want, still don't quit. Do the thing that any successful business owner would do. Hire some help. This is why we've been in business going on 4 years now. This is why we have an entire company. This is the reason I'm able to create these podcast episodes and YouTube videos for you, is because we help people start, launch, grow, expand, and generate revenue with their podcast. So if you find yourself in that position where, man, this thing's, I just feel like it's a job, then hire somebody to help. I guarantee it will fix, if not all of your problems, then at least give you the perspective to fix most of them. There's one bonus hack that I want every single business owner to know, and that's called the client interview or the client co-host. Alex Hormozi calls these success interviews, no matter what you call them. This is the easiest podcast strategy in the world to generate revenue. You interview your clients, Think about the things that happen when you talk to your clients. They're asking for a report. They're asking for an update. You're asking for an invoice. You're wondering when they're going to do that thing that you emailed them about 3 weeks ago. All of this communication is difficult. It's friction. It's not fun. But when you go to your clients and say, hey, would you like to be on our podcast? That only strengthens the relationship. And from the content perspective, it allows your clients to sell your service for you. It allows your customers to give your prospects advice and convince them to buy your service. So if I were to leave you with anything today, after all of the mistakes that I see podcasters make, the one strategy that I would recommend, and if I only had to pick one strategy, it would be this one: interviewing your clients. And of course, if you want to know how to do this, we have a video and a podcast episode on how to turn your case studies into podcast episodes, meaning how to turn clients into podcasts to generate more clients. So you can go ahead and click on that video, and I'll see you on the next one.